I know for a fact that if you clicked on this video, you're probably exhausted. And I don't mean kind of tired. I mean that deep, almost annoying frustration that comes from spending hours scrolling, watching videos, saving threads, and hearing the same recycled advice over and over again about how to make money online. Every single day, it feels like there's a new guru screaming at you to try affiliate marketing, dropshipping, Amazon FBA, or whatever the trend of the month happens to be. And what nobody wants to admit is that most of that advice worked in the past, but it doesn't work anymore, especially not in 2026. Not in a world where AI is reshaping how value is created, captured, and destroyed at the same time. And I want to pause here because this is important. A lot of people feel like the problem is them. They think, maybe I just didn't try hard enough, or maybe I didn't buy the right course, or maybe I'm missing one final trick. In my opinion, that mindset is exactly what keeps people stuck. The truth is, the environment has changed, the rules have changed, and if you keep trying to win using outdated strategies, you're going to feel like you're running on a treadmill that never turns off. What really hit me when I listened to this breakdown is how brutally honest it is about what no longer works. There's no sugarcoating, no fake optimism, no anyone can do anything if they just believe. Instead, it forces you to confront a much harder but more useful question. Where does real value actually come from now? And how do you align yourself with that instead of fighting against it? The framework that really stood out to me is the idea of breaking money-making opportunities into 4 buckets. Not because it's flashy, but because it creates clarity. Trash, easy, medium, hard. I like this because it acknowledges something most people don't want to hear. Not all opportunities are equal. Some ideas don't just fail to help you, they actively hurt you by wasting your time, draining your energy, and killing your confidence before you even realize what happened. So let's start where most people should start but rarely do, with the trash bucket. And I know that sounds harsh, but avoiding bad ideas is just as important as choosing good ones, sometimes more important. The income potential in this bucket is basically 0, and in many cases, it's negative. The difficulty is deceptive. These ideas look easy on the surface, which is why so many people fall for them. But the real cost shows up later, when months have passed and you're no closer to freedom, income, or leverage than when you started. And honestly, who is this bucket for? No one. Absolutely no one. Take NFT flipping as an example. This one is completely done. The hype cycle has already played out. Most of the projects launched, liquidity dried up, and the only people who made money were either insiders or people who got lucky and exited early. And even those people often gave it all back chasing the next wave. If you've never made money online before and you start here, you're stacking the odds against yourself from day one. There's no structural advantage anymore. There's no edge. And AI doesn't magically bring that edge back. Crypto trading falls into a similar trap. Yes, money moves fast. Yes, screenshots make it look exciting. But what nobody talks about is the emotional toll and skill required to survive. Most people don't have the patience, discipline, or risk management to trade consistently. And without those things, it's not investing. It's stress disguised as opportunity. In my opinion, unless you're willing to fully commit to mastering the craft and accepting long periods of loss, this becomes a daily leak rather than an income stream. Then there's multi-level marketing, which I'll be very direct about. If the primary way you make money is by recruiting others instead of selling a product that has real independent demand, you are not building a business. You're buying into a structure that often requires you to spend more money just to stay qualified. Most people don't realize they're trapped until they've already invested months of effort and cash. That's not leverage, that's dependency. Basic caption writing and subtitle work used to be a decent entry point, not anymore. AI now does this faster, cheaper, and often better than humans. The same applies to low-level data entry. Watching people still try to build income around tasks that software has already replaced is honestly painful. The writing is on the wall, and ignoring it doesn't protect you. Fiverr-style microtasks deserve a special mention. I loved these platforms years ago. They were incredible training grounds. But today, they offer almost no long-term growth. Even if you make some money, you're capped. There's no compounding, no leverage, no real skill expansion. Print on demand fits here too. It's overcrowded, commoditized, and dominated by identical products competing on razor-thin margins. And finally, day trading. This one hurts the most because it attracts smart, motivated people. But unless you are completely obsessed, deeply experienced, and willing to structure your life around it, it is far easier to lose money than to make it. For most people, it becomes a cycle of hope, loss, and burnout. All of these ideas have something in common. They're like trying to cross an ocean in a car. No matter how hard you press the gas pedal, you're using the wrong vehicle. And that's why I love the trash filter that gets introduced here. It's simple, but powerful. Ask yourself 3 questions. Is AI already replacing this? Is the industry shrinking or becoming obsolete? And is it easier to lose money than to make money? If the answer is yes to any of those, move on immediately. No debate, no emotional attachment. Now, once you clear that mental clutter, you can finally talk about opportunities that actually pay. This is where things start to get interesting. The easy bucket. The easy bucket isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about momentum, real, tangible momentum. We're talking $5,000 to $10,000 a month with low difficulty and fast turnaround. 30 to 60 days to your first payment if you execute properly. In my opinion, this bucket is perfect for beginners because it teaches the most important lesson of all: how money actually moves between customers and businesses. You don't need a degree here. You don't need years of experience. What you need is basic execution and the ability to communicate. You need to learn how to talk to customers, understand their pain, and deliver something that solves a real problem. This is where confidence is built. This is where you earn your first dollar online and realize, okay, this is real. I can do this. Short-form video editing is one of the strongest examples. Demand is massive. Everyone wants content. Everyone wants clips. And AI has made editing dramatically faster. If you can take long-form content and turn it into engaging short clips, you can get paid quickly. I love this one because it's practical, scalable, and immediately valuable. Social media copywriting is another. Words still matter. Attention still converts. Every business needs help communicating clearly, and AI tools make the execution easier than ever. The skill isn't typing. It's understanding the audience and the offer. AI chatbot setup for small businesses is one of my personal favorites. Small businesses are drowning in repetitive tasks. If you can help them automate customer interactions, scheduling, and support, they'll happily pay you because it gives them their time back. And time is leverage. The AI receptionist builds on the same idea. These tools can now answer calls, qualify leads, book appointments, and handle questions without fatigue or attitude. Helping businesses implement this isn't just technical work, it's revenue enablement. UGC content is exploding. Brands want real people, not polished ads. Acting as the connector between creators and brands can scale faster than most people realize. I've personally seen businesses built entirely on this model, and virtual or executive assistants rounds out this bucket perfectly. High-level operators hate wasting time. If you can help them buy it back, you become indispensable. Plus, you get paid to learn from smart people, which compounds far beyond the paycheck. And this is where I want to pause, because everything in this bucket teaches one core skill: how to craft an outcome-based offer. You don't sell hours, you sell results. Once you understand that, the game changes. Once you understand that the easy bucket is really about learning how money flows, everything starts to click. This is where a lot of people mess up, though. They think the opportunity itself is the magic, when in reality the opportunity is just the training ground. The real value is the skill you walk away with. And in my opinion, the single most important skill you can develop in this bucket is learning how to create an outcome-based offer. Selling your time is the fastest way to cap your income. It feels safe, especially at the beginning, because you think, well, if I work more hours, I make more money. But that logic breaks down very quickly. Time is finite, energy is finite, and once you hit that ceiling, you're stuck unless you raise prices or burn out. Outcome-based offers flip that completely. Instead of saying, I charge this much per hour, you say, I will help you achieve this specific result in this specific time frame. That shift alone changes how clients see you. You're no longer a cost, you're an investment. And when you tie your offer to something the customer already feels pain around, the sale becomes much easier. People pay to remove pain or create gain. If you can help them make more money or save time in a meaningful way, price becomes secondary. I really like the idea of making the promise specific, not vague, not fluffy, specific, a result in a defined time frame. And then removing risk. Guarantees scare people at first, but when you understand your service and your ability to deliver, guarantees actually increase trust. Scarcity matters too. You can only take on so many clients. That's not manipulation, that's reality. Now, here's the part that most people skip, and it's why they never get traction. Outreach. One daily outreach, non-negotiable. This isn't about spamming people or begging for work. It's about building a habit. One conversation a day compounds fast. Over weeks, over months, that turns into relationships, referrals, and confidence. This bucket teaches you how to communicate value, how to handle objections, and how to get paid. And once you have that foundation, you're no longer guessing, you're building. But eventually, a lot of people hit a point where they want more consistency, more scale, more leverage. That's when the medium bucket starts to make sense. The medium bucket is where income jumps significantly. $10,000 to $50,000 a month becomes realistic, not theoretical. The difficulty increases, but so does stability. This is where you stop doing isolated tasks and start solving real business problems. You're no longer just executing, you're thinking, you're owning outcomes. And this is a big mindset shift. In this bucket, clients don't want someone who waits for instructions. They want someone who frames the problem, proposes the solution, and delivers the result. That's why people who thrive here tend to get more opportunities without asking for them. The story about Sam really stuck with me because it illustrates this perfectly. He didn't need hand-holding. He didn't wait to be told what to do. He took ownership. And when you do that, your value multiplies. You become hard to replace. That's when compensation changes dramatically. What separates this bucket from the easy one is accountability to outcomes. You're tying your pay to revenue, growth, or efficiency. That's powerful because businesses happily pay for those things. If you can remove friction, increase output, or unlock growth, you become an asset, not an expense. Automation agencies are a perfect example. Businesses are drowning in inefficiency. Manual processes everywhere. Repetitive tasks eating up time. If you can come in and automate workflows that directly impact revenue or cost, you create immediate value. And the best part is that this future-proofs you. Once you understand automation, you can apply it across industries. LinkedIn growth systems powered by AI are another strong play. Attention is leverage. CEOs and founders understand this, but they don't always have the time or systems to execute consistently. If you can own that outcome, building audience, credibility, and trust, you tap into a deep budget. Micro SaaS is close to my heart as well. Small tools that solve specific problems. That's the key. You don't need to build the next giant platform. You need to build something that saves time or removes friction for a specific user. Monthly subscriptions stack quietly, and over time, they create predictable revenue. AI content agencies take this even further. Content demand is endless. Brands want volume, but they also want alignment. Using AI to produce high-quality content without massive production costs changes the economics completely. This is where creativity meets scale. High-quality motion graphics is another underrated skill. As AI floods the market with average content, premium execution becomes more valuable, not less. If you can make content look professional, polished, and intentional, you stand out immediately. What I really agree with here are the 2 pro tips. Case studies matter. Stories sell. People want proof. And outcome-based retainers are the holy grail. Predictable revenue changes everything. It allows you to plan, invest, and grow without constantly chasing the next client. This bucket is where real businesses are built. But if you want something bigger, something that can truly change your life, then you start looking at the hard bucket. And that's where we're going next. The hard bucket is where things get real. This is the bucket most people talk about, fantasize about, and then quietly back away from once they realize what it actually demands. The income potential here is massive, We are talking about businesses that can generate millions a year, sometimes even millions a month. But the difficulty is high for a reason. This is not about shortcuts. This is about building systems, developing leadership, and thinking in years instead of weeks. What I respect about this bucket is that it forces you to grow as a person. You cannot hide here. You cannot fake competence. You either build something valuable or you do not. And the time frame reflects that. If you are starting from zero, this can take anywhere from 2 to 10 years. That sounds intimidating, but it is also honest. Anyone promising instant success at this level is lying. This bucket is best for people who want to build something bigger than themselves, an asset, something that could be sold, something that creates leverage even when you are not actively working. That is the real definition of wealth. One of the most powerful plays here is investing in AI-first founders. This is a world most people do not even realize they can access. When you invest in founders building real AI companies, you are essentially betting on talent, timing, and execution. The upside is asymmetric. When they win, you win, and you are not the one running day-to-day operations. I like this model because it creates leverage without consuming your time. Equity compounds quietly, and as AI becomes more accessible, more people will be able to participate in this ecosystem in meaningful ways. Building software, AI products is another core pillar. This is where recurring revenue meets enterprise value. Software businesses are valued differently because they scale without linear costs. When you build a tool that solves a real problem and people pay for it monthly, you are no longer just generating income. You are creating an asset that can be worth 10 to 50 times its revenue. What stands out to me is the emphasis on solving real problems, not novelty, not gimmicks, real pain points. Most AI ideas fail because the technology is ahead of the actual use case. Timing matters, and when it clicks, the results can be life-changing. Buying small businesses and layering AI into them is another underrated strategy. There are countless boring businesses still operating like it is the 1980s. Manual booking, inefficient workflows, zero automation. When you modernize those systems, margins explode. The business becomes easier to run and more profitable at the same time. I personally love this approach because it combines stability with innovation. You are not starting from zero. You are upgrading something that already works. That reduces risk significantly. Building a personal brand tied to commerce is another powerful long-term move. Distribution is everything. When you have attention, you have leverage. Content creates inbound opportunities, partnerships, and deal flow. When paired with products or equity, it becomes a machine. This is hard because it requires consistency. Showing up when no one is watching, posting when results are not immediate. Most people quit before momentum builds. That is why it works for those who stick with it. Subscription communities powered by AI curation are also fascinating. People pay for access, context, and clarity. When AI can personalize that experience and deliver value at scale, the economics become very attractive. Licensing AI playbooks might be one of the most slept-on opportunities here. Many businesses are sitting on valuable intellectual property without realizing it. Their prompts, workflows, and systems can be packaged and sold. That turns internal knowledge into external revenue. What really brings this bucket to life is the personal story behind it. Success always looks obvious in hindsight, but the reality is years of uncertainty, experimentation, and persistence. No one sees the flat years, the learning curve, the setbacks, the moments where quitting feels easier. That is why the concept of reinvestment matters so much. Reinvesting money, reinvesting time, reinvesting belief. Confidence is built through execution, not motivation. The step-by-step framework here is simple but not easy. Tie your strongest skill to a fast-growing industry. Systematize your service. Build a small team slowly. Use AI to increase margins. And create content to attract opportunities. What really resonated with me is the warning about shiny object syndrome. This is the silent killer of potential. Jumping from idea to idea feels productive, but it resets progress every time. The real advantage comes from staying in the game long enough for momentum to compound. Committing to 1,000 days of focus sounds extreme until you realize how fast 3 years actually passes. Documenting the journey keeps you accountable. It turns effort into narrative, and narrative attracts people. At the end of the day, the separator in 2026 is execution. Information is everywhere. Action is rare. The people who win are not the smartest. They are the most consistent. You can do anything, just not everything. If you enjoyed the video, like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss out on the next important analysis update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.